What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be talking about how we can improve Destiny 2 in 2020 and going forward into all the new seasons and eventually into year 4. So I want to kick things off talking about some of the changes to PvE that I'd love to see. One of the biggest things in my opinion that really affects Destiny is the difference between the mid and the end game. So when I say mid game, I'm speaking about things in terms of your everyday grind. So the cosmetic gear that you're grinding for, the stat rolls that you're grinding for as you approach the end game, right? The things that you use on a daily basis to tackle things like strikes, nightfalls, maybe a dungeon here and there. Not too much talking about raid stuff, but also, basic weapons, but more so we're talking about like cosmetic items and things like that. Because in my previous video talking about Armor 2.0, I did mention the fact that armor within the Armor 2.0 system feels kind of the same. And that was one of my bigger issues, was what was going to differentiate one set from another. Because if you look at the current landscape of armor, you have one set of armor that drops with higher stats, one set that drops with lower stats, and that's going to change when Season of Worthy begins. Bungie already mentioned that now you're going to get the opportunity to get higher stat rolls just regularly farming out in the wild. So now that the playing ground is somewhat leveled and you'll be able to get high stat gear everywhere you play, the point I was making is even more emphasized. What is the difference between from one armor set to another? Now, if you look at raids, they have a unique mod slot, and all gear within the season has a unique mod slot. But now, that's going to even allow you to play one season behind and one season ahead in terms of using different mods. And that's not a bad thing. I like that change. That's a good change. But what I'm speaking to more so is what makes a set of armor more unique over another set of armor. Like if I get a set of armor from Zavala, from running strikes, what makes that set unique over the set that I get from Crucible, or over the set that I do get from the raids besides the mod? What makes these sets unique within their own play spaces? And one of the things that I point to is Gambit Prime. I'm always constantly talking about the fact that I enjoy Gambit Prime over regular Gambit for one particular reason, and that's because of the armor sets. I find that those armor sets really add another layer to the gameplay, and obviously it's not a perfect system. The way that you get the sets and stuff, all those things can be adjusted. I'm simply just pointing to those armor sets. The fact that you have an opportunity to grind for something, get pieces, and then as you gain more pieces, you get unique abilities to use within that game mode. I like that idea. I think Destiny needs to go a little bit more in depth with that idea. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it in strikes, bring back strike scoring and allow the armor to maybe give you a point bonus or something like that. Something that will affect not just the score, but the loot that you get afterwards. Maybe add back skeleton keys and have the point system influence your chances of getting a skeleton key. Like ideas like this, that is something that I'd love to see, come back to Destiny. On the topic of what makes armor unique, people want to look good, right? Sometimes we get really caught up in the fact that we're farming for god roll weapons, or we're farming for really high stat rolls, right? And it becomes lost that I'm trying to just grind for some really cool looking gear. And mind you, it's necessary to do endgame activities. But at the end of the day, when you look at things like Eververse that sell so many cool looking pieces of gear, I see that and I say, why can't we get more of that in the game itself? And what's a way that you can do that? If you look at some of the activities in the game and you look at their reward structures, they don't really reward that much. And I'm not even talking about, again, god roll weapons or anything like that. I'm talking about anything: materials, rewards, cosmetics. Like if you look at the strike playlist from Destiny 1 and you look at the strike specific armor that we got, no one farmed the armor from the D1 strike playlist because of perks or anything like that. They farmed it because the armor looked dope. It looked unique, right? The first time you fought the Dark Blade and you got that helmet to drop, you were excited because like it felt as though you got a piece of that enemy's armor set. It was so unique and so different from everything else in the game. And that went along with majority of the strike specific loot that we got with in D1. And in D2, we don't really have too much of that. Now, granted, Bungie does put things out there that do represent, you know, some of the enemies that we face and some of the activities that we're doing. I'm not trying to, you know, downplay the work that a lot of these artists put in. Even if you look at Season of Dawn and you look at weapons like the Trophy Hunter, which is straight up just a Scion sniper, you know, things like that are pretty cool. But I'm strictly talking about not just getting the weapons. I'm also talking about how we get the weapons. So think about it like this. Let's say you have something like the weekly Flashpoint. Most people stop caring about that activity after they farm all their powerful gears, right? Some people don't even do that activity in their powerful grind because it's become something that you just kind of look over now. And it's something that shouldn't be looked over by Bungie. It's something that needs a little bit more work put into it, right? To make it a little bit more relevant. And it can be more relevant because the structure of a weekly Flashpoint offers so many opportunities. You're basically saying to a player, hey, on this planet this week, there's things going on. So now Bungie, what are those things that are going on and why should I do them? Because currently, it's just basically go to that planet and do a couple of public events to satisfy the planetary vendor, and then they'll give you a powerful drop. But I think we can go another level on that. What if we had world bosses? And hear me out. What if we had something similar to Spider's wanted bounty structure, and we played that out each week on a Flashpoint, like a target or targets that we hunted down on each planetary location week after week? You know, and you can rotate them, and after a while it would get repetitive, but the incentive to do so would be you're hunting these enemies down to farm for loot. And what loot? Cosmetic loot. No god roll weapons, no god roll armor stats or perks or anything like that, but specifically just cosmetics. Because currently everything in the game is hunting for god roll weapons or hunting for, you know, stats and whatever. But we don't have enough activities that just say, hey, you want something that looks cool? Go do this. And adding these bosses wouldn't be anything that requires a 6-man fire team or whatever the case may be. Like, obviously you can play around with the difficulties if you want, but at its base, all I'm basically presenting is some type of activity where we can go in, fight some wanted enemies, fight some bosses, whatever the case, and get some gear, right? If you want to take it a step further, you could even say, hey, fight, farm the boss, get the blueprint. Get a blueprint, go and kill this many enemies, and you craft that blueprint. We can add somewhat of a dumbed down version of a crafting system. Now, some people may say that's busy work. To me, I would just see it as another layer of gameplay because, again, this is not something that's difficult to do, right? In Destiny, you're always looking for things to do. So if I say to you, hey, every week you have a chance to get this blueprint, as long as you know there's a chance, you're gonna do it. Because if I'm telling you, yeah, you have a chance to get it, it's some dope looking armor, just the ornament, you know, you're not looking for stats or anything like that. You're not looking for god rolls. So there's nothing telling you like, oh, I didn't get the god roll again, I didn't get it again, and then I have to go and kill this many enemies. No, it's just like, oh, I didn't get the blueprint. Damn, hopefully next week I get it because I really want that armor and it looks dope. And then when you finally get it, it's like, cool, kill 30 enemies, boom, I got my armor crafted, done. I worked for that, I earned it. I put it on and I wear it with pride, and that's it. And like I said, you can take it a step further. You know, you can add higher tier enemies, and if you want, you can add, you know, curated weapon rolls and things like that, or unique mods. Some of those mods that we get, the enemy mods like fallen armaments and stuff like that, you can add those to world bosses. You know, you can do so many things with this idea. But at its base, I'm just simply putting forth an idea that adds some type of incentive for people to farm for cosmetics, because I don't think there's enough activities in the game at current that allow for you to do that. It's a change of pace. It's something different. And I'd love to see cosmetics and unique items come to strikes. I'd love to see those return back because we're sorely missing some type of reason to jump in and play strikes. So those are just a couple of ideas. I don't want this video to go on too long. I already made another video talking about PvP and endgame, talking about raids. So if you guys want to check that video out, I'm going to leave a link in the description. You guys can check that one out. But yeah, I just wanted this to be a brief discussion. If you guys did enjoy this video, please be sure to drop a like, hit the subscribe button, and drop a comment down below if you guys enjoy this idea and what are some ideas that you guys have. You know, I want to hear from you guys. Again, I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.